Welcome to our first lesson on conflict. We're looking at the causes and effects of human conflict. This lesson should be self-paced but with a partner. So you can move on without each other, but some parts will require you to discuss things together, so you need to maybe wait for your partner a couple of times. Also be aware of how your actions influence others and take responsibility for your learning today. Right, so conflict, our first task. For each image below, write down in your social science book some words that come instantly into your mind. Move on when you have 7 words for each one. So we've got 3 different images there. First task, you need to pause the video so that you can write down 7 words for each one. Task 2, now with your partner, compare those words. If they have a word there that you don't agree with or wouldn't have put down, ask them about it. Ask them why you put that down. See how you both see the situation differently. You'll be surprised that sometimes you come up with the exact same answer and sometimes someone's thought pattern goes a completely different way to yours. Again, you'll need to pause the video so you can have that conversation. Make sure you remain on task and really help your partner learn. So our learning intention today is to examine the term conflict and try and establish a definition. Your task, first of all, is with your partner. Decide on your own definition of conflict. Write it down in your social science book. All right, this is our prior knowledge, which we will come back to when we look further into this unit. I don't want you to cheat. I know that you can all go to Google and quickly find the definition, but I don't want you to do that. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So you need to, with your partner, decide what the definition is and write it down in your book. Alright, now you can look up the definition of conflict. Hopefully you haven't already done this, and write it down in your books underneath your original definition. So my example just down below there, you've got my definition, blah, 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 and then the dictionary definition, blah, 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 blah. Pause the video now so you can go and do that. Okay, we're going to reflect on the definitions. So how well did I do when defining the definition? When defining conflict. I want you to write that down. You could either give yourself a score out of 5, or you could say, oh, well, I used some of the same words, or you could say, I was completely way off, had no idea what it meant. All right, and all of those things are fine, but I do want you to write it down and really reflect on how you've done. And number 2, I want you to write down a reason why it is good to try and guess an answer before resorting to Google. You should be able to come up with a reason why that is a really good idea, that we need to be able to think about an answer and give a guess rather than just going and getting the correct answer. You need to tell me why it's a good thing to do that. So you'll need to pause the video again so you can do all of these things. Right, just in case your definition was different or Google wasn't working that day, this is straight from Google, so it should be the same as yours. If we use conflict as a verb, it is to come into collision or disagreement, be contradictory, at variance, or in opposition. Or it is to fight or contend, or to do battle. All right, as a noun, a fight, battle, struggle, especially a prolonged struggle or strife, controversy, quarrel, conflicts between parties, discord of action, feeling or effect, antagonism or opposition as of interest or principles, a conflict of ideas. Right, so as you can see, there are a lot of different definitions for conflict, and it doesn't just have to be about war or about being in a fight with someone. It could be a conflict of interest, so trying to do something that you know will make one person unhappy and it will make another person happy. What do you do? It could just be a simple disagreement with someone else. It could be an argument with your parents. All right? It has a really large scale of minor conflicts and big conflicts that lead to wars and things. Okay, the 5 images below. once I've gone through the explanation, you'll need to pause the video so you can do this. But I want you to write down your thoughts for each image in your social science book. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you need to label them like that so we can refer back to them. And then after you've written down your thoughts on your own, I then want you to discuss it with your partner, maybe write down anything you've missed or question each other about it. We'll just quickly go through the images. Number 1 is the IRA. So that's the Irish Republican Army. They, you can have a quick look at what they've done. Number 2 is in Vietnam. Number 3 is in Syria. Number 4 again is from Vietnam, and number 5 is a Maori man in European clothing. So write down your thoughts for each image, and then you can discuss them with your partner. Write down anything you've missed. Right, extension work. If you have finished all of those tasks to the absolute best of your ability. Okay, I understand I'm not there today to see what you've done, but I will be looking in your books later on to check you have done all the right work. So, if you are up to this, I want you to write down a short story about a time when you have experienced conflict. Now, it can be true or made up, so if you can't think of something that you really want to write about, that's fine, you can make it up. And I'm sure you've all read stories, watched movies, and seen different types of conflict before, so you will all be able to do this. I want you to think about, how did you feel? Who was involved? How did you react to the situation? What would you do differently next time? And you can use those questions above as a guide, but you don't have to answer them. So if you've got your own way of doing this, that's absolutely fine. Right, and then just a wrap up. What should you have in your book for today's lesson? So you should have 7 words for each image at the start, so that's 21 words all up. You might have more, if so, well done. You are going to have your own definition for what conflict is. You will have a dictionary definition for what conflict is, and you will have written how well you have defined that and what sort of changes you made, or if you got it perfectly right. You will have thoughts for images 1 to 5, and maybe amendments if you've discussed it with your partner and thought something different afterwards. And if you have done the extension, you've done a short story as well. On the next slide, we'll talk about next lesson. Right, so next lesson we are going to create a visual display that shows an understanding of the word conflict. So in groups of 2 to 3, you are going to collect as many images or materials that you can to show your understanding of what conflict is. So you can go to Google and do some searching, or you can grab some magazines, newspapers, anything you like. We'll use the empty wall space under the aircon unit. You can have a look at that now. It's a big empty black space, and we will display all of these. So each person should fill an A3 piece of black paper, which is at the back of the room, with different images of conflict. So we're making a collage, and a collage is lots of pictures all stuck together. So it doesn't have to be all nice and neat. They can be overlapping. There can be lots and lots of pictures on there. The idea is to not have any black space on your A3 piece of paper. So there is enough room up there for every single person to have an A3 size piece of paper filled up. We're going to do this next lesson, so if you want to bring in something from home, or if you want to have a look for homework, then you are more than welcome to. You're also welcome just to do it in class, and I will give you, I think, 1.5 lessons for that, possibly even 2 lessons. So we're going to do a really good job of this. Okay. Right. Of course, you can rewind the video, you can pause it in different places, you can go back and fix something that you might not have done so well. I hope you have understood everything. If not, I hope you have asked someone a question. Remember, there are lots of people around you who can answer your questions, including the teacher who is with you. So, yeah, good luck.